Since entering office, President Trump has been ambitious about territorial expansion, sounding more like Donald the Conqueror. He's insisted that the U.S. take ownership of the Gaza Strip and the Panama Canal. He's tried to buy Greenland from Denmark. He's pitched Canada on joining our union as the 51st state. And at his inauguration, Trump took America's original expansionist slogan and blasted it skyward.
We will pursue our manifest destiny into the stars, launching American astronauts to plant the stars and stripes on the planet Mars.
We've been unable to secure comment on this from any Martians. American history has seen the country grow in size and Betsy Ross's flag grow in stars, but Trump's ideas ebb between delusions of grandeur and old-fashioned gunboat diplomacy. There was Trump's announcement that the U.S. would, quote, own Gaza, sending Palestinians to neighboring countries and establishing a, quote, Middle East Riviera. With literally no specifics laid out by the White House as to how exactly this would happen, the idea has received bipartisan and international condemnation as logistically impossible. Trump has also set his sights on, quote, seizing back the Panama Canal, which was signed over to Panama by Jimmy Carter in 1977. Trump has erroneously claimed that China is running the canal, which is actually operated by an independent authority in Panama. A subsidiary of a Hong Kong company runs two of the canal's ports, but does not control access to the canal. Trump has also floated the idea of purchasing Greenland from Denmark, a concept that, while not new in the grand scheme of American history, stands firmly against the interests of the people of Greenland, whose prime minister has said bluntly, quote, we want to be Greenlanders. And then there's Canada, the second largest country by landmass on the planet, my home country. I can't speak for Panamanians or Greenlanders, but I do have a suggestion for my fellow Canucks on this. Donald Trump has offered Canada the chance to become the 51st state. And I say, why stop there? Bear with me while I do a little math. Canada has 41 million people. They live in 10 provinces, which are like states, and 3 territories, which are like territories. So if Canada were to become America, some changes would be in order. First of all, Congress would have to grow. That would mean Canada, as part of the new America, would net at least 54 seats in the House of Representatives. For context, the 20 states with the smallest populations have just 46 House seats between all of them. But here's problem number one. This little thing called the Reapportionment Act of 1929 mandates that the U.S. House is no bigger than 435 members. So if you did the math, combining Canada's population with America's and dividing it by 435, Canada would net 47 seats, and those seats would be taken away from states all over the country. Who's going to tell all of those voters that Trump gave their congressional representation to a guy in Saskatchewan? And that's the House of Representatives. What about the Senate? Trump is only offering that Canada become one state with 2 senators. Canadian provinces, like American states, compete with one another. They aren't going to be all that interested in snuggling up into one state. Each province would have to be its own state. Hence, Canada wouldn't be the 51st state. It would be states 51 through 60 at the very least. And if it were 10 states, Canada would have 20 senators. It would be the largest reorientation of political power in America since women were given the right to vote in 1920. Trump is specifically asking Canada to join as just one state for that reason. It would likely swing power away from Republicans to do it any other way, which is why they've long opposed statehood for Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. They assume both would become Democratic strongholds, increasing the Democrats' control in Congress. Here's how Republican Senators Tom Cotton and Lindsey Graham have weighed in on the issue over the years.
Any of us need D.C. and Puerto Rico being a state? Have to lose our power.
The House is voting tomorrow on a bill to make Washington, D.C. a state. If that sounds insane, you're not alone. So why are the Democrats pushing for it? The answer is simple: power. The Democrats want to make Washington a state because they want 2 new Democratic senators in perpetuity.
Now, if the thought of a couple of senators from Puerto Rico, like people who are actual American citizens, scares them, I wonder how 20 from the land of maple syrup, Mounties, and Anne of Green Gables is going to go over. And while it's difficult to compare American and Canadian politics directly, we've got some sense of how Canadians, or what might come to be known as Camericans, might vote. Canada has a multi-party parliamentary system, but in 2003, the Conservative parties united under one banner. And since then, the Conservatives have received, on average, about 35% of the popular vote in each election. The left of Conservative parties combined have received an average of 63% of the popular vote. Expansion from Canada to the Gulf of America might be a fun idea for Trump until our nice neighbors up north kick his party out of office and install a liberal supermajority. We haven't even talked about what this is going to do to the Supreme Court. Now, of course, in typical Canadian politeness, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said there's, quote, not a snowball's chance in hell that Canada joins America. But Canada, if I were you, maybe the chance to take over your noisy neighbor from inside isn't the worst idea in the world.